Hello and welcome to Web of Light. I'm Dr. Kevin and this is
Angie D'Anjou.
Angie D'Anjou, my lovely co-host. Today we're going to be highlighting or spotlighting another nonprofit. But before we get to the nonprofit, we want to start with our how are you today, Miss D'Anjou?
Yeah, we're doing fine.
Things going well on your side of the world?
Things are going fabulous.
So October is always a big, busy season for people that do stuff like you and I and things like that. Everything gets kind of geared up, and then you go past, you kind of get past Halloween, you get past All Saints Day, and then it starts to
simmer down
a little bit.
Good time to clean, clear.
All of that stuff. So do you have any big plans coming up for the holidays?
You really want to know?
No, I asked because I didn't want to know.
You don't want to know.
I don't want to know?
Because...
You don't think our viewers want to know? Why? Do any of them include me? Are you going away again?
Yes.
Oh! She's going to desert me. I'm going to end up with abandonment issues here.
We've decided to leave the area for the Thanksgiving almost 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay. Well, we're not taping every week now, so we can.
Hopefully we'll kind of, boom around that.
Well,
but I'm going to go get to see Louisville, Kentucky now.
Okay.
For Thanksgiving. And
who, what, where is in Louisville, Kentucky?
Well, remember the Miss Partridge happening where I relocated my lovely son Danny to Ohio? Well, he is now...
Come on, get happy.
He's now going to be a Louisville, Kentucky resident.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He got thrown out of Ohio. And now they moved him down to Kentucky. How long is he going to survive there before they find out he's related to you and throw him out of there, too?
It's like,
We have our full complement of nuts, and since the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I think that we need you to leave. So you're going to go down to Louisville, Kentucky. So now I'm going to have to schedule all the taping and all the guests to make sure that I get as many in as possible in the 2 weeks that you're gone.
That's right. But you're going to do the same thing in December sometime, aren't you? I'm
going to be gone for a week in December. I'm going to go down and I'm going to play with Mickey.
Yeah.
I'm going to play with, all the characters. I'm going to go over and take a ride with Harry Potter, and I'm going to get down and see my parents in Florida. So, I'm going to do a combination. Jeff and I are going to go down there and hang out with my sister, and we're going to go see our parents, and we're going to go do some fun days at the amusement park. Yeah. So that's coming up as well. See? I don't know what I'm doing. I've been adopted for this set of holidays,
Adopted, huh?
Well, that's what happens. I'm engaged now, and you can't be at both places at the same time, so you have to kind of pick and choose where you're going to do the holidays. And because my family is much more scattered and has less cohesive events, I'm just getting adopted into his family. So I'm going to be doing one of the little partridges, and he gets to be the big partridge for the holiday season, going around and doing all of that stuff. So, so I'll be doing that. There's still a few little things coming up, but, again, they kind of calm down. But holidays for a lot of people are really stressful. And they're really tough on the kids.
Yes, they
are. You ever noticed that?
Mm-hmm.
Every holiday season, I either end up doing a radio show or writing a blog or something trying to convince parents to stop abusing their children during the holidays. You've heard me tell this story before. I don't think I've told it on this show, but I think you've heard me tell it. Here I am, just a few years back, here I am. There is this, 3-4-year-old child. Maybe the child was 5, but I don't think the child was that old. It's 11 o'clock at night. The child's been eating off the buffet of candy and junk and food, has been kind of semi-ignored. The holiday party is happening, and the child has a meltdown. Well, like That took 2 IQ points to see coming. And then the parent starts yelling at the child, yeah, why do you embarrass me like this? And, you know, and I let you stay up and I let you do this and this is how you thank me. And then, of course, the child cries more. And the child's more upset. And the parent's more upset. And the parent's embarrassed because the child is misbehaving. And I get down on bended knee in front of the child and I looked and I said, it's okay, honey. I'm really sorry you have such a bad parent. I'm really sorry you have such a bad parent. And they kind of look at me. And the mother looks at me with the mother I hate you eyes. And I said, you know, I understand that your parents didn't watch what you ate carefully enough, that your parents didn't keep your schedule, that you didn't get enough sleep, and of course that you're going to melt down. And now they want to blame you because they made all sorts of bad choices, which is okay. So don't worry about it. And trust me, they'll get better with time. Get up. The mother tries to yell at me. I pull her aside and I said, excuse me. Children still need the sleep they need. I don't care if it's the holidays. When you had a child, you may have agreed on some level, or you should have, that, excuse me, I might have to miss a holiday party. I might have to go home at 9 o'clock. I have a 4-year-old. Is it fair to keep them up till midnight? Is it fair to let them eat crap, go on all the sugar highs and lows and falls out, and then to blame them because I will not stand up and be a responsible parent? So
right.
I am putting this out here now. If you decided to have children, it was a choice. Somewhere it was a choice. Even if it was an accident, you decide to keep the child. If you're going to be a parent, be a good parent. I don't care what holiday it is. I don't care what event it is. Your child still needs a bedtime. They still need to make sure that they're making good choices when they're small. You still don't want to feed them full of crap and then blame them when they melt down on you. You know what? It's a couple of years. They're only going to be small for a few years. So maybe miss a holiday party. Leave early. Go early, leave early. Spend a little bit more time. Maybe the holiday should be less about parties and more about spending time with your child. Just the family. Maybe create some family traditions. Because I will guarantee you, before this holiday season's over, I'm going to be somewhere and watching some parent yell at their child because they're a bad parent. So, anyways, so that's my little thing about the upcoming holidays. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
It's a truth.
It's a truth? Mm-hmm. How did you deal with it when your kids were little? Did you just slap them upside their head? Duct tape?
I wasn't the type to go taking them up for a long period of time.
So when did you become the party girl that I knew and came to love?
Only when my children weren't around.
Yeah, well, she has some wild parties now. Okay.
Yeah, well, now it's not the children that misbehave, it's the adults.
Yeah,
and that's even harder.
Yeah, you definitely have some misbehaving adults that come to some of your parties, and I am not one of them. That's really scary. So we're going to move on to the quote, and then we'll bring our guest in.
Yes.
A safe and happy childhood lasts a lifetime, says Jim Tomaszewski. Tomaszewski. No,
Jimmy
SH. Anyway, we're going to call him Jim T. He is the executive director of Lil Iguana Children's Safety Foundation and president of the MCJEEL, or the McJail. Is that where we send all bad fast food, which is all fast food? Entertainment, Inc. He says, the best job that I have is working for the Lil Iguanas Children's Safety Foundation and seeing the children that we have saved from abduction, child predators, sexual abuse, and serious injuries growing up to become healthy, stable young adults. The greatest feeling in the world is to help another person. Seems to be our theme for this last couple of shows.
Yes.
The Lil Iguanas Children's Safety Foundation is a nonprofit children's safety organization. LICSF has been credited for saving many young children as young as the age of 2 from abduction, children predators, sexual abuse, and preventable serious injuries, like being born of the wrong parents. This is done with our safety educational program that has earned us both national and international awards and endorsements, including visits to the White House. Check out the great work that's being done by some great people who care deeply about all of our children. Jimmy T, welcome to
Thank
Web
you.
of Light.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I don't know how to follow that about bad parents. I mean, that was a tough one. That was a conference I did many years ago, and they threw me out. They asked me to come speak. They asked me to leave. It was okay.
That's all right. I'm sure you've been thrown out of better places.
Yes, I have. People just don't want to hear the truth. That's the big thing. They just don't want to hear the truth.
Do you think that, and I want to hear all about more Lil Iguana
Sure.
and some of the stuff
Yep.
you do, but do you think that parenting has, I mean, many people say this, that parenting has been on a decline for 50,
Yes, it has.
60 years now.
Yes, it has.
Why do you say that? And why do you think that is?
Well, I don't say it. The facts are the facts. When we started 22 years ago, in 1994, when we started this, we saw we had a problem. 96, I had run for governor because, not to win, just because it gave you a platform. People had to listen to you when they paid the money to come to these speaking engagements. And I told people, if we don't take care of our children at this young age, we're going to have epidemic drug use, epidemic unwanted children, epidemic alcoholism. And they laughed at us and they mocked us. And they said, teaching 2 to 8-year-olds, that's stupid. That's too young. Well, at that time it was it was abused and neglected only. And it was 9 to 12. Then 15 years later, it was 5 to 7. And then we said, no, it's still younger. It's just kids don't have that ability to tell you what's happening because they take that as part of their life. So if they get up in the morning and something happens to them, or part of their day something happens to them, they don't know any better. They just assume that that's their life. Well, now the government statistics came out and it said it's 3 and under. More children are killed and abused every year, 3 and under, than any other age group.
You know, you're in an area that I've definitely spent a little bit of time, and there's a few different things out there that I think that people are not aware of, and please choose to challenge me or not.
Sure.
But like I've worked with children all the way into young adults whose traumas in the first 6, 9, 12 months, 18 months that they don't remember,
Correct.
you can still see in their behaviors, in their unconsciousness. And I was speaking recently, I was on a forum and I was speaking, and when I said where abuse starts for children is in the womb. By how the parents take care of themselves.
Correct.
That even negative energy directed at a child in the womb, they pick up, they take it in. It may make them get born earlier or get born with less weight or more issues or stuff like that. And some people laughed at me.
Yes.
And I'm like, but if you don't think that energy of self-loathing or negativity is just as destructive as doing drugs and drinking alcohol, if you don't think fighting, the two parents fighting about, the child or even having
Sure.
the child, if you don't think that doesn't already start that child off wrong,
Yep.
then you're a fool.
Well, most people don't realize that if you're feeling it, they're feeling it. So you're absolutely correct on that. So if you're stressed out or you hate or you're angry or you're whatever, that is part of it. It's part of your body. For me, I haven't gone back that far in my work, but for 22 years seeing 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds. I mean, I'm a very big person. I mean, I'm 6'5". I played sports. I was captain of the basketball team, football team, baseball team, played all the way through college professional. When I was a child, I had no self-worth. I had no respect for myself. I had, and I truly believe this, self-worth is everything in your life. I couldn't go into a grocery store by myself because I was afraid. I couldn't go to see the man down the street because I was afraid. I didn't know how to communicate with people. My friends, they loved me because we got to know each other and we had a great time. But totally strangers and people that you don't know, I had that problem. I mean, I was an altar boy, Catholic altar boy, okay? You go home, tell your parents you got beaten because you told them that something happened. You tell the authorities, well, you were mocked, you're labeled, So no one ever said anything because you'd be labeled. You would be put into a category that you didn't want to be put into. And it's shameful because I say, when I speak, I tell people, it's the it factor. Whatever that it, how you describe it, was taken from you as a person, okay? Whether it was emotionally, physically, whatever way, sex, whatever way you want to describe it, you search the rest of your life to fill that it factor, okay? So you may turn to alcohol to hope that that helps. You may turn to drugs to hope that helps. You may turn to having 27 children with 27 different men, or being the man that has 27 children with 27 different women, because you know what? It takes two, okay? And it's shameful that people always label the women as something when it's the man that do it too. But we're always looking for that it, that thing to fill our hole, our void that we've lost for whatever reason.
Well, and part of it is it's like a bottomless pit that no matter what you throw in it, until you repair the bottom.
Till you understand it.
Till you understand
and
it.
come to grips with it.
Own it. And
Own it.
I do a lot of inner child work.
Yep.
In my practice. And so I'm always talking to people about, that there's parts of us that literally go into hiding in order to survive.
Correct.
And as they break off, and I call them inner children, as they separate out, they're holding on because they didn't have, or you didn't have at that time, the mental or emotional or even spiritual wherewithal to handle what was going on.
Correct.
And so then you're making your decisions based on the perception of a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old.
Correct. You're a wanderer.
Yeah.
Just wander.
But when you bring that child out and it has voice,
Yep.
you can then heal that child and integrate it and move it forward.
Sure. Unfortunately, in this world, you have a lot of very ego-driven doctors in the world that are going to bring stuff out that may not even be there. Okay? And I've seen it. I mean, I've sat in meetings where it's like, you have no clue what you're talking about. And this is a PhD person sitting next to you, and you're like, no, this kid never went through this. Stop putting that into their minds, because they're not stable as it is. So when you introduce things to them in their minds that, oh, this probably happened to you, it comes right out, and everybody's looking to blame somebody. But it's not that. What happens is, in our world, is your foundation in life as a human being is set by 5 to 7. Undisputable. No one can tell me otherwise. My grandma, my baba, my Gigi, okay? They used to say to me, that little Bobby, he's a little whatever, S-H-I-T. He's going to grow up to be a big S-H-I-T, okay? They didn't have a college education. They just knew that if you didn't take care of that child at that age and help them and mold them and teach them and show them respect and manners, that by the time they were 21, all they were going to do is be bigger, stronger, 5-year-old or a 6-year-old. And that is why it's so important that we must face. I mean, we have people having children. In the olden days, people had a lot of kids because they had to work the farm or they had to help survive. Then it went in the generation of my parents. They were debating whether they should have a lot of children or not, because now They had to work for a living and take care of those children. It wasn't that they were out doing the farm. So that was the gap that our parents had to fight. And they didn't understand it because no one taught them. So they had 6 kids and they're like, oh my God, I'm totally financially strapped. I'm overwhelmed with everything. How do I succeed in this? Then the next generation is, wait a minute, we're going to have 2.2 children because having 6 kids or 12 kids, that's crazy.
Yep.
You know? And then they do that. And now you have kids, you have people, you know, there's 2 sets of people. And this is it. There's 2 sets of people. People that want to have children, that can't wait to have children, that won't run past their kids when they get home from work to hug and pet their dog, but pick their kid up and kiss them. How's your day? What is it? Can I do? Let's go walk. Simple. Kids don't want material things. They want you to take them out, pick some leaves off the tree, show them different colors, show them an inchworm, show them a fish, show them a water, take them to Mindfall, take them to Benson, take them just for a walk. That's what kids want. They don't want material things. Material things only introduce selfishness, only introduce, well, I can get this now out of you. All they want is to be loved. And then there's other people that have them as a monetary gain. When we were a kid, and I know people put me down for this, and I am the most human, most giving, most respectful people. I donate time, money. Christmas time, I'm doing shows at a shelter. Holidays, I'm doing something, feeding somebody, doing something. Most humane person you'll ever meet. But when you're having children for a monetary place in life, that's shameful, okay? It should not be generation. There should not be 3 generations of someone not, I mean, when we were kids, your guidance counselor, right? They said, hey, you could be a doctor, Kevin, right? You could be a nurse. You could be mayor. Did you ever see on that list, hey, you could just have kids and never work again the rest of your life? Because you know what? I would have checked out probably at 8th grade.
Yeah.
I would have been done. I mean, and that's what our world is. And it's okay. People talk about it. Our politicians talk about it all the time. Oh, well, you know, you have whomever. I'm not even using names because they're all deplorable. You could put them all in a basket, every one of those politicians, because I'm done with listening to what they, oh, well, we did this, we did that. What you should be doing is taking care of, you should put as much money as you can into early education. Because when I ran in '96, I remember, I said we should have more money in education because kids will, you know, we should have one school for technology because not everybody's going to go to college.
Nope.
We're going to have one school for kids that are going to go to college. One school for kids that are going to be plumbers and electricians and make millions of dollars because they owned a company that's a plumber and electrician, and it's a very admirable business. We should put money into that. We should not be putting money into just programs that are not focused on teaching kids. And I got introduced one time to go speak as here's our next governor who wants every child to be a rocket scientist. This guy was 70-something years old, and not to disrespect any old people, never would I ever. And I turned to him and I go, you're exactly the reason our politics, our society has failed. Why wouldn't you want to have every child be a rocket scientist? I told him, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll stop today running for governor. If you can go up to the state penitentiary or the prison, find one person who's a rocket scientist that pushed down some old lady to steal $18 or kill somebody to steal home invasion for $88 or whatever baloney we see these days. You can't. Because you know why? Educated people don't do stuff like that. Yeah, maybe they do white-collar crimes, Bernie Madoff, all those people, and we have other people that deal with them. But this has got to stop. We can't allow this to go on any longer. We must all take care of our children and help our kids. Because you know what's going to happen when they grow up? They're going to cut down your rainforest, and they're going to eat your spotted owl, and they could give 2 craps about how you feel and what you're going to do. True story. We're sitting around police department. I deal with district attorneys. I deal with attorney generals. I deal with every single thing under the sun. state police, you name it. Sitting in an interview one day, police officer standing there, talking to this 12-year-old boy who's disrespectful because he has no self-worth. His whole life, his mother had the boyfriend of the week who came over. They abused him and his sister. You know, I mean, it was awful the whole life, okay? This kid's whole life. This police officer is giving him the riot act, you know, the good cop, bad cop, but he was playing both parts. And he's sitting there and he's yelling at this kid. And he's like, I'm tired of seeing you in here, yelling at him, right? Kid goes, F you, man. Cop just snapped, threw a chair across the room. What do you mean? Kid stood up, slammed his hands on the table, stood up and said, where were you for the last 10 years when I've been sexually abused? Do you know that police officer had to leave the room because he had no idea what to say after that? That's what our problems are. And we see it every single day. And it's not rich, it's not poor, it's the mentality of that person who's having that child. Because everybody thinks, oh, Kevin has a kid, Angie has a kid, I'm gonna go have a kid today, right? I wanna have a kid. Start with a puppy. If you can handle that, let's move up to a kid. Seriously, right?
Well, yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with you here. I put out a thing a few years back that said that we should start to filter in middle school which direction kids should be going to support the career that they were willing to work for in their lives. Yep. And was it educational? Was it technology? Or was it, hey, I hate school, I'm not interested, I don't want to have to do anything, you know, blah, 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 blah. Great, then you're off the doles, you graduated
Sure.
8th grade, we'll get you a job at the local fast food place because that's where you're headed, and I'm not going to spend an extra $100,000 for the next 4 years educating you.
Yep.
So you can be dropping out, resisting, running away. Sometimes you just got to cut them loose. Some of them will find their own way that way. Some are never going to find their own way, and no matter what you do, what you spend, what courses you put them into,
Sure.
it's not going to ever work.
Everybody has one thing in life that they really are passionate about.
But they need to be able to find it.
And that's why you have to give it to them, the chances. Like my children, you know, my wife is salt of the earth. She hasn't killed me in my sleep, which is a good thing.
We'll
you
talk
know?
to her about that.
Man dies of natural causes with down feathers in his lungs. How did that happen? I don't know. My children were allowed to do whatever they wanted to do. And I don't mean that in a way of spray painting graffiti on a wall, being respectful, but doing drums and dance.
Yeah.
But we found a way. We didn't have the money. So we worked bingo for the Catholic school. We worked whatever it was for the fundraisers to put them into that dance class. Yeah. We worked to put them into gymnastics. You know, we did whatever it took because that's the hardest job in the world is to be a good parent. Any moron could be a parent. But the hardest job in the world is to be a good parent. And a good parent wants their children to be better than them. That's a good parent. A good parent always wants their child to be better than what they are. No more that, when I was a kid, I did this, and I was this, and I was that. You want your child to be better than you. And when we do that as a society, we'll have no more problems. You know, like this week it's heroin, right? Yeah. Last week it was, you know, this week it's heroin, and we're blaming our doctors for overprescribing opiate drugs. Last week it was spray paint. So maybe we should have blamed the hardware guy, put those guys from Lowe's and Home Depot in jail for giving spray paint out. Week before that, it was Sudafed. We can't even buy Sudafed over the counter now. Maybe it was that guy from Hannaford or Market Basket that did that. Maybe the problem isn't drugs. Maybe the problem is the problem. And the problem I see and I face every day, so we have souls just going through life empty, with nothing, searching. So when I come up to you and say, hey, how's your day going? you now love me. I mean, I do shows in schools for kids. I spend 45 minutes singing and dancing with kids in a costume character. Do you know at the end of every single school show, I get one kid that maybe I looked at and I said, you're the smartest kid in the world. Wow, what's your name? And he yells it out from 500 kids. Wow, everybody knows the smartest kid in the world here because he answered that question right. At the end of the show, you know, those people come up to me, those little kids come up to me and they'll say things like, oh, I love you. I want you to be my daddy. No problem with that for other people?
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Well, I hear you. I mean, I've done a lot of work with kids. I have several books, DVDs, CDs out on ADD and ADHD, and I've been working with children gifted.
I still have it.
Gifted. All my stuff is called Managing the Gift.
Well, we called it something else in my neighborhood. It wasn't a gift, but in my neighborhood.
Yeah. And your neighborhood had it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, you know, being one of my kids, because I call all the ADD, ADHD from 4 to 84, because I've worked with them from all of those ages, I call them all my kids, because they'll always be somewhat childlike.
Yep.
And they'll never, they'll never understand injustice. They get that it happens,
Correct.
but they never understand it, and
Yes.
they never accept it as normal.
No. Yeah, it's true.
And it's a driving force. So they're the kid that will yell at the teacher for yelling at the kid beside him because it wasn't
Correct.
his fault.
That's right. Absolutely.
How-
He stood up for that person.
How is that not a gift?
That is a gift, you know, and it is. And people need to understand that that child is, you know, the moral factor, right? Again, my Gigi, my Baba, smartest people in the world, they were my grandparents. Meanest people in the world, but the smartest people in the world. My Gigi told me many, many years ago, when morals and morality get surpassed in our country by laws and legality, we fail not as a nation, but as human race. And I never understood that till I started seeing all this. Oh, well, you didn't sign that contract, Mrs. Jones. She's 97 years old. Mrs. Jones doesn't know what that contract meant. Well, we didn't sign that contract by 12:01 today, and you lost your house. Or you worked all your life and paid into this system. Now our tax man's coming, and he's going to take your house because you paid $8 million already. They should be over there giving you lasagna every night. Never mind, come and take your house. But when morals and morality get surpassed by laws and legality, I don't live my life fully religiously. I just live my life. Do unto others as you wish to have done unto you. Okay? That is surpassed. You know, I always joke with my Catholic friends, and I was actually on a parish council once and sat next to a bishop and always joked around about all the silliness about, you know, was all these apostles that were sitting around and Jesus turned some water into wine, and they all started drinking. And, you know, there was that one commandment that said, do unto others as you wish to have done unto you. And then everybody else said, after a few glasses of wine, hey, I got one. How about now covet thy neighbor's wife? Or how about now murder somebody or hurt somebody? Well, that's all part of do unto others as you wish to have done unto you, because you wouldn't want that done to either one of you. So why can't we live our lives that way? You know, as a boy, I look out the window, I see Mrs. Jones across the street raking her leaves. I got off my butt and I went over there and I raked the leaves with Mrs. Jones. Not because she was going to give me $2 or maybe a glass of lemonade or whatever. It was because that's what was instilled in me as a child, that you help everybody around you. You saw somebody shoveling snow. If my dad or my grandfather saw somebody across the street shoveling snow and I wasn't out there shoveling snow with them, it wasn't a good day at my household. You did it.
Yep.
And we've lost that.
We have lost that. And, you know, we've moved into a place where we support people being entitled.
Correct. That word needs to be stricken from our political world. This entitlement, you know, like the other day I was sitting there listening to Hillary Clinton talk down south. She's like, oh, not that I agree. I'm not saying vote for Trump. I'm not saying vote for anybody. I'm just saying, I'm listening to it, and you were saying entitlement. She was saying, Donald Trump is going to take away your way of life. And I'm sitting here going, wait a minute. What is that? What is your way of life? You don't work for a living. You get full benefits. You get full medical. You got dental. Even though you have full dental, your kid's got no teeth. Obviously, it's because you're lazy and you don't really care about your kid. Because if you cared about your kid would have sparkly white teeth because it's free, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't. And they use excuses. Oh, I can't get there. I got no car. But Friday nights, they're at the pub. Thursday nights, they're at the pub. I used to do bingo. This is a true story. Angie will attest to this. I used to do bingo for our foundation. This is a true story. This is the sadness of our political world. All our politicians should be ashamed of themselves. Sitting there one day, EBT cards, right? EBT cards. We have the highest EBT card ever before. The highest rate now. Crazy. We have the highest rate of children have to being fed breakfast at school, even though they got an EBT card to feed them. Lunch at school, even though they have an EBT card to feed them. Now they have this Hunger 68 or whatever, where they give you a take-home dinner, and they give you a dinner on weekends to take home. This was one of the speaking engagements that I was talking about. They said to me, well, how would you end hunger? Stop having kids you can't feed. And they asked me to leave. Yeah. They said, oh, can you leave now? Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's simple though.
Well, you go back to common sense is not common.
Correct. There is no such thing as common sense. There's nothing called common sense in the world. We're animals. We all learn, okay? We're learned. You don't, because if we had common sense, you'd walk out of the womb, feed yourself, and wipe your own butt. But you don't. You have to have somebody wipe your butt 18,000 times before you even get the concept of it. And feeding yourself, forget it. You'd starve unless you knew how to eat, right? So there's no such thing as common sense. We're all learned animals. The only thing that puts us apart, thumbs, speech, able to walk, talk.
Yeah. So now we're going to be listening to verbose, engaging, and fun stories, and I'm going to say, and we're out of time, and everybody's going to go, what the hell was Lil Iguana? So focus.
All right, here we go.
Tell me something about, okay, who's this?
That's our friend Lil Iguana, who's our mascot. 22 years running
22
strong.
years.
Yep.
Here we go. Okay. Mine. Go ahead.
Yep.
So now tell me about the rest of them.
Well, what we did was we've been saving children 2 to 8 for a long time. We're into second generation.
Saving how? Define
we
it
go
better
into
for me.
schools. We have TV series. We go into schools. We teach kids. Most parents say to their kids, look both ways before you cross the street. What does that mean to a 3-year-old? Or don't talk to strangers. That's just a crapshoot because everybody's a stranger unless you have permission. So we go and we teach them what permission is. Eyeballs, ask, yes. As soon as you get eyeballs, ask, yes, they're no longer a stranger. Very simple. 2-year-olds even understand it. We've saved so many children as young as age 3. We all know somebody that Lil Iguana has saved. We've won Emmys and international awards for our television show. When we first started, people say, hey, you should go to PBS, teach, put this on TV. So we went to PBS New Hampshire. They don't make TV. So we went to Boston PBS. They threw us out of their office saying, teaching kids 2 to 8, safety on PBS. That'll never happen. So me, instead of punching you in the nose, I'll get you back another way. I went to 88 television stations, met John Silber, God rest his soul, when he was alive. He ran WABU. He was the chancellor of Boston University. Said, if you could do what you say you're going to do, you're going to change the world. and he made 13 television shows for us, which we won Emmys, international awards, beat PBS Boston out for everything that year. I think 17 different awards. Very good. Program has saved thousands of children, and we love it. In fact, how we get all this, like we have our craft fair coming up November 12th at Nashua North High School. We have 140 vendors plus right now that are coming. Huge, huge event. We used to have it at the Crown Plaza Hotel, but we outgrew the hotel. I mean, we had it in we had it in the men's room, you know. I mean, every room was taken. So we moved it to Nashua North High School, and it helps support our cause. That's November 12th from 9 to 2. People can get involved. They can be volunteers and help our cause. We're looking for costume characters to perform. We're looking for live performers that would like to help us save the world. And the only way you save the world is by saving your children. There's 2 generations on this planet at any given time. Some people have their great-grandmothers and their grandmothers, but most of us only have the kids and the parents. And if you could hit both of those by teaching the kids, and then when they grow up and parents, and they teach their kids as you're teaching kids, we've changed the world. Because we've all seen how it's changed. Let's go back to it. That's all we got to do.
Well, you know, and there's a whole Native American thing about every decision you make should be based on how it's going to affect 7 generations forward.
Absolutely right. That's how I live my life. Absolutely do.
And you can communicate that to children, that
Much
concept
easier.
at a very young age.
Yep. Yep.
And, you know, when I have worked with children and parents and things like this, and done that work, both ADD, ADHD, and non, I always look at an action and consequence. And I go, you start at a very young age, and you just teach this action gets this consequence.
Correct.
And you make it fun the first time.
Yes, you do.
You know?
Everything's got to be fun.
Everything's got to be fun. So
Yep.
here's the action. You turned on the faucet and the consequences, the water came on. Now here's the action. You put your hand under it. Here's the consequence. Your hand got wet.
Yep.
And then you build action, consequence, action, consequence. So often our children today are disassociated from the consequence of their actions because they're not held accountable to them.
Never. You're right. You're right.
But we're talking second, third generation single parents, latchkey kids,
Correct.
raised by daycare centers and after school programs.
Extremely weak gene pools happening in society now. And
an overall disrespect on the value of parenting.
well, actually, I think it has to do, Kevin, is disrespect for themselves first. Because if you have respect for yourself, and you will have respect for everything else around you.
Yeah. But I'm saying that media, society, this is one of my soapboxes. I have a radio show as well, and
Yeah.
you know, and I've had several shows on how we shame women who want to stay home, or men,
Never.
and be full-time parents. That's what that's the disrespect I'm saying,
Yeah.
is that we've made parenting, we disrespect the value of having
Sure.
at least one parent. It doesn't make any
Yep.
difference which one.
Yep.
One parent saying, I am going to be full-time dedicated, and maybe the other one has to be more dedicated to the career, for the money. Maybe the second parent, maybe the parent dedicated to the parent. Children may still need to work a little bit here or there, or work from the home. But you know, you hear it. You still hear it. Oh, you know, what do? Oh, I'm just a full-time wife and mother. Oh,
It's the hardest job in the world. It's the hardest job in the world to be a mom that stays at home. I give every mother who I see their children, and they're so polite, and they're so respectful, and they have everything going on, I give them all the credit in the world. My wife and I both chose to do that. We don't have, we have one vehicle that we share. You know, we could have 2 vehicles in a summer home, and I could go golfing every Saturday. It's not what life is. Life is, if you decide to have children, put 100% behind it, when they grow up, then you could go do golf and have 2 cars.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 wonderful, great kids. They're all adults now, but they're just wonderful kids.
So you took the 2.2 and rounded it up?
Yeah, I had to be the guy. I had to be the guy that added the 0.2 to it. You know, my wife and I, we had a boy and a girl. My wife said that's good, and then financially, you know, it was one of those things. Financially, we didn't have any money, so we didn't have a 3rd child. And then eventually, 5 years later or so, we decided it was time to have another child, and I asked, and she said, okay. And again, that's why I'm surprised she hasn't killed me yet. But, you know, we had it, and she stayed home, she raised them, she read to them, she taught them. And when people, like you say, when people say, I'm a stay-at-home mom, that's the greatest job in the world.
Yep. Or stay-at-home dad. You see more of those today.
Yeah, you do.
Doesn't make any difference.
No, I don't think I could have done it, though. I personally, you know, I mean, I watch my children, and I'm very good with them, but it's amazing what women do with their kids. It just amazes me. You know, like I said, it's the hardest job in the world to be a good parent.
Yep.
Any fool could be a parent, but the hardest job is to be a good parent.
So if people want to find out more about Lil Iguana, where would they go?
They can go right online to www.liliguanausa.org. That's Lil Iguanausa.org. Just type in iguana, and usually we show up. We're pretty up there on all the search engines. They can call the office. They can email us. We're always looking, like I said, we're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for performers. The performers get paid. Our expansion, we're trying to open in every state now. That's what our goal is for 2017, is to start the process to bring the program out there. And the thousands of kids that we've been able to save, we're hoping that we can continue this. And then we want to create a website. We want to create a new show. Our TV series, we want to go animated. We just... we're hiring the guy that wrote Dragon Tales and DC Comics and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the animation series. We're hired Jeffrey Scott to do our show because we want to teach respect, manners, self-worth, you know, things that ABCs and colors and shapes, for goodness sakes. I mean, you come out of the womb and there's a class for ABCs and colors and shapes. I mean, I want to teach, you know, within the show, the kids are skateboarding, they go into the building, they stop 2 seconds, they turn, they hold the door, a woman comes in, woman says, thank you very much, that was very kind of you. Not preaching, not telling kids you have to do it, just showing them that that's part of their life.
There is a radio show that I've been on several times as a guest, and after the show, sometime this week, I'll hook you up. But the guy does a show in LA, and it's got a really great following, and he's also worked with Safety for Kids. He's actually done it from somebody who made a living for a while as a private investigator that would go and rescue kids that were abducted, and he's done it around the world. And
Crazy.
he has this radio show, and you would be the ideal guest, and he's got a great marketplace in the LA area. So I don't know how well you're represented over there, but I know there's no such thing as too much publicity.
Never.
So when we get off air, remind me.
Yep.
Remind me, and I will hook you up with this guy, Alan, and I cannot remember his last name for the life of me in this moment, but I will make that contact with you so you can get that out there. Why an iguana?
Well, way back when we started it in '94, we looked at all the characters that were out there in the world, and there wasn't an iguana. And we went to the pet store, and this was the Jurassic Park era. And we said, hey, what's the #1 pet? And they said, believe it or not, iguanas. So my crazy artists that I had, Louis DeMello and Jeremy Selmer, they talked me into bringing in an iguana into our place with a big, a big home for them. I mean, it was ginormous trails and everything, and we had iguanas in our place, and we drew it, and it ended up becoming iguana. It was very scary in the beginning, but we softened it up, and It's the cutest character. Hey, I look at it this way. Barney, you know Barney, right? Everybody knows Barney the purple dinosaur. They got sold in 2013 to Mattel for $689 million in cash. I figured the iguana is prettier than him. So why not, right? You never know. So that's our push.
So do you have any last questions? Because we're getting ready to wrap up. This show is taking on a life of its own.
Actually, I just want to stress the fact that your November event.
November 12th.
I want to say to people,
It's greatest
they
craft
have an
fair, man.
awesome,
Yeah.
awesome fair, and they dedicate. One of the things that wasn't brought up to this is if there's any schools or organizations out there anywhere anywhere, right?
Sure.
If you want to bring in the Lil Iguana, because he's actually a real character.
Yep.
He stands about as tall as Jim almost. Well, no, I'm sorry, he's the short
A little
one.
shorter one.
But you can have them at your function. You just have to connect with them, and they'll come in and do a whole stage show
Yeah.
to help you children in your community. They get little packages, right?
Yeah, we
The whole
go in
thing.
and
It's an awesome opportunity to bring this into your community, because they go in, they have characters, they put on a little song and dance. They show the kids through song, happy songs of
Sure.
stranger danger or even computer stuff.
Yep.
It's just diverse.
number
And-
one way to teach a kid.
And it's just beautiful what you see at these. But know that these events that they do, like in November,
Raise the money for
they'll
it.
have raffles there that you will not believe.
Yeah. Yeah, this way we got 70 baskets.
They have
They start at
baskets.
$100. That's the prize, $100. It goes all the way up to $4,000.
Yeah.
Like Hopper passes to Disney, the
Yeah.
owner seats to the Celtics. The Celtics just gave us mid-court, 7 rows up.
Yeah.
You're right there. I mean,
Yeah.
we have great
And-
prizes.
When you come in to do this and you come into that date, it's a family, it's family oriented, it's a fun day, and it's helping the support, because part of these fundings are actually going to those shows that you do.
Yeah, except for
And
the school.
The school,
Yeah,
yeah.
except for the money we pay for that.
Yeah.
Everything goes right
Yeah.
to the programs.
So, come on down in November and be
Yeah.
here if you're in this community. If you're not in this community, find them, because it's a great opportunity to bring Little Iguana into your community.
Yeah.
So, Jimmy T, we want to thank you for having you
Thank
on.
you. Thank you very much.
And you see on our table the ME and the Be Smart, Stay Safe.
Yep.
LittleIguana.org.
LittleIguanaUSA.org. Yep.
LittleIguanaUSA.org, and I know that our fabulous production staff will have that underneath you
Beautiful.
as people are
Mm-hmm.
watching this show.
Yep.
Thank you so much for this.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Yep. You're welcome.
Hey, you got Trouble the dog. I get the iguana.
I have my own iguana already.
We used to have beanies, the beads in there, but we couldn't.
For
We
those
had
kids-
to go to just nylon fill
Nylon, yeah.
in case the kids ate it.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
why there's nothing on their eyes or
I
anything.
am actually proud to say that I am a board member with
Yes,
Jim
yes, you are.
at Little Iguana, and I don't generally do that, but this was like, yeah, I'll do it
Yep.
because it's worthy of this. Keep on charging ahead, Jim.
We're the only program in the world to focus on prevention, proactive programs for kids 2 to 8. The only program, and we get no money from the government. That's how sad that is.
Yeah, but the government money comes with a lot of strings.
Yeah.
Don't be too sad.
Yeah, well,
If
that's
you're
why
getting-
we don't do it. We've had many, many opportunities, but you know
Yep.
what? If you wanted to change the world, you change our kids.
Absolutely. So coming up, I have a funny feeling that on one of my morning coffees, which goes out to lots of people in my social media, that we're going to have a guest.
You gonna have morning coffee with
We're going to have a
Little
guest
Iguana?
star. I think I'm going to have a morning coffee with Lil Iguana, and he's gonna chat a little bit. I do a morning coffee every day.
Well, we're always looking for help, Kevin. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for people that have suffered abuse and neglect that need to help fill that hole in their life by helping others.
Okay, and that we're wrapping it up. We
Yeah.
want to thank you for coming again to another episode of Web of Light. And remember that what you put out into the world is what comes back. When you're a parent, what you've put out into the world is your child. What comes back is the future that you need to live in. And what you have to live with is the future that you gave your child to live. And that future will stay with you till the day you die. Namaste.